"That's my dad's chair," I said, and Rob's smug-ass Rob just grinned and sat down anyway. A year ago, I still lived in the house my dad built. Like, literally built. He bought the land, poured the foundation, put up the walls. That man knew every beam, every wire. So yeah, it wasn't just a house, it was his. And when he passed, I guess it became mine. I was 15 when he died. I remember every damn second of that day. My phone buzzed in biology class. Grandma called. I didn't answer. She called again and again. Then the office lady walked in all pale and shaky. I just knew. And that was it. My world flipped inside out. Dad was gone. Mom didn't even wait till the funeral dirt settled before moving on. Enter Rob. This guy just popped out of nowhere. One minute it was just me and Mom trying to survive, me still figuring out how to breathe without Dad. The next, some rando named Rob is standing in our living room acting like he pays the bills. Spoiler alert, he didn't. She met him through a friend. Guess grief makes you forget timing. Or shame. And, okay, sure, at first I gave him a shot. I wasn't a total jerk. Dude was polite enough. Kinda smiled too much. Always had stories that felt, off, like he was performing a character he thought we'd like. But whatever, I kept my distance. Tried to stay out of his way. But what got me? What really made my blood boil? He started taking my dad's stuff. Not like robbing it. No, it was worse. He replaced it, quietly, systematically. His tools in the garage, took my dad's off the rack, put his in their place. That mug my dad always used for coffee vanished. One day it was there, next day some generic best dad ever ceramic garbage showed up. Even the recliner, my dad's recliner, his spot, his zone. Rob started sitting in it like it was his. I told Mom. She acted like I was being territorial. Yeah, no shit, Mom. Then she said the worst line. Sweetheart, Rob needs to feel like this is his home too. Oh, does he? In the house my father left behind? Last summer, the will drops. About 6 months after Dad passed, I got called into some stuffy-ass lawyer's office. Dude looked like he hadn't blinked since '92. He opens this envelope and goes, "Your father left everything to you. All of it. The house, the accounts, the LLC, the rental properties, everything." I was 15. I didn't even have a driver's license, and now I apparently owned more than most adults I knew. And my mom. She sat there pretending to smile, but her jaw was so clenched it looked like it was about to snap off. She wasn't in the will. At all. Guess Dad figured she'd be fine, or maybe he saw this whole Rob situation coming from a mile away. So now, legally, everything was mine. But functionally, I was still a kid. Dad had it all locked tight. I couldn't touch the assets till I turned 21. Smart man. But Mom, she started scheming. She'd throw out little hints. Wouldn't it be nice if we put the lake house in my name just so it's easier to manage? Maybe transfer one of the rental deeds just to make Rob feel secure. Secure in my inheritance, ma'am. I told her straight I legally can't do that, even if I wanted to. She played the supportive mom card. Of course, honey, I was just brainstorming. But every month she circled back, like a shark, sniffing weakness. This morning. The final straw. It started with a trip, or rather another trip. They were headed to Aspen, my mom Rob and his 2 kids Lexi and Marcus. I was invited, sure. But invited like, you'd probably rather stay with Grandma every damn time. They'd plan these fun family getaways, post cheesy group selfies, then leave me behind with a lame excuse and an Uber to Grandpa's. At some point, I stopped pretending it hurt. But this time stung different. Because I walked downstairs, suitcase in hand, ready to finally go. And what do I see? Rob standing in the hallway blocking the door saying, "Sorry, buddy. We thought you weren't coming." Buddy. I looked at Mom. She wouldn't meet my eye. It's just, you seemed hesitant, and Rob booked everything for 4 people, and I didn't even let her finish. Just turned around, walked back upstairs, and slammed the door. The worst part, they left anyway. Didn't even knock again. I just sat there, suitcase still zipped, staring at the wall like a damn extra in my own life. 2 days later. The kick out. I don't even know how the fight started. I just remember Rob yelling. Something about respect. Something about discipline. And I lost it. Told him, "You're not my dad. You don't pay rent. And you sure as hell don't get to tell me what to do in a house that's mine." Mom got real quiet. Then she said, "Maybe you should stay somewhere else." For a while, I laughed. I thought she was joking, but she wasn't. She looked me dead in the eye and said, "This isn't just your house. It's our home now, and you're making it unbearable." That word, unbearable. Like I was some roach in their perfect little family picnic. So I packed my bags, again. But this time for real. Grandpa picked me up. I didn't say a word in the car. He didn't ask. When we pulled into their driveway, he just said, "You've always got a home here, kid. Let them figure out who they are without dragging you through it." I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just exhaled. And that felt like the first real breath in months. 2 weeks into staying at my grandparents' place, I started sleeping again. Not like passed out from rage sleep, but real peaceful, don't wake up pissed sleep. Their house was quiet, predictable. No Rob stomping around in flip-flops. No awkward dinners where I sat at the end of the table like a guest in a home that was mine. Grandma kept trying to make it feel normal. She'd bake extra cookies or ask if I wanted to go grocery shopping with her. Grandpa didn't say much, but he started leaving the sports section folded on the kitchen counter like Dad used to. It was their way of showing love without asking too many questions. And honestly, I needed that more than I realized. Then my 18th birthday hit. It was quiet. No parties, just a cake, some ribs on the grill, and Grandpa handing me a plain manila envelope. "You're legal now," he said. "Might be time to start looking at your paperwork." Inside were copies of my dad's will trust documents, property deeds. I'd seen pieces of them before, but never really read them. I sat on the porch for 2 hours going through every line. The way my dad structured everything was insane. Detailed down to who could sign off on what if I was incapacitated. It was like he knew something would go down. Like he expected Mom to pull some BS. And, tucked in the back, a folder labeled Apt 12C. Mortgage note plus lease agreement expires December 31st, 2025. That's when it hit me. They didn't own the house. They were renting it from me. Or technically from my trust. So for 3 years, Rob had been walking around like he was king of the castle. In a castle he didn't even lease directly. I laughed. I mean like full-blown maniacal laughter. It was so ridiculous, it looped back around to hilarious. I called Grandpa out to the porch. "Did you know they're basically squatters?" He took a sip of his sweet tea. "Yep." "Why didn't you say anything?" "Wasn't my place," he said. "But now it is." And just like that, the weight shifted. All the nights I stayed up wondering if I was being dramatic, if I was overreacting. Gone. I had leverage. Real, legal leverage. I wasn't just the angry teen who got kicked out, I was the goddamn landlord. So I started planning. Not revenge. Not at first. I started small, organizing the paperwork, pulling utility statements, talking to a real estate attorney I found online. The guy asked for a Zoom consult and looked shocked when he saw I was 18. "You're the beneficiary of the Myers estate," he asked. "Yeah," I said. "Why?" "You've got some powerful assets. You realize that, right?" "Oh, I realized." For the next month, I kept my distance. Didn't talk to Mom, let her stew. But I could tell from the way she stopped sending those fake cheerful check-in texts that she knew something was coming. Then one Thursday morning, I drove to the house, not with anger, just clarity. I pulled up and saw Rob's truck parked crooked across the driveway like he owned the damn place. The mailbox was overflowing grass too long. One of those inflatable pool things half deflated in the yard. Classy. I knocked. No one answered. I knocked again. Still nothing. So I left a letter. No threats, just notice. Per the lease agreement filed under Trust A, you are hereby informed that your tenancy will not be renewed past the 60-day expiration period. You have until date to vacate the property. Short, professional, cold. And because I know my mom, because I know she loves drama, I included a little sentence at the end. Please feel free to contact legal counsel for questions. I will not be negotiating terms informally. That night, my phone blew up. First came the texts. "Eli, what is this? Can we please talk? You're being extreme. This is our home." Then came the calls. I ignored all of them. Finally, she emailed me. Subject line, "Disappointed in you." Not surprised, not angry, disappointed, classic mom playbook. The email was a guilt trip buffet. Rob is trying so hard to be a father figure. Lexi's going through a lot. She's pregnant, you know that. You're tearing this family apart. I almost replied, almost. But then I remembered the last time she said family, she meant her version, one that didn't include me. So instead of responding, I forwarded the email to my attorney with the note, just FYI, we're moving forward. 2 weeks later, I drove back to the house with the locksmith. It was weird seeing the inside again. It felt smaller, like the walls were closing in not on me anymore, but on them. There were toys in the hallway. Rob's kids had clearly made themselves comfortable, and Mom's yoga mat was still spread out in the living room like a monument to her Zen lifestyle. The locksmith was fast, changed the locks in 15 minutes. As I stood outside, keys in hand, I felt it for the first time: power. Not vengeance, not smug satisfaction, just control. For once, I got to decide who walked through that door. Then Rob pulled into the driveway. He slammed the car door and stormed over like he was about to square up. "You think you can just lock us out?" he barked. "This isn't some dorm room. This is our home." I looked him dead in the eye. Calm. Flat. "It's my property. You've been leasing it under a trust. That trust expires in 45 days. You knew that." "You little—" "Say it," I said. "Finish that sentence." He didn't. Just stood there, shaking with rage. Mom got out of the passenger seat, eyes wide like she just walked into a courtroom. "I tried calling you," she said. "I know. You didn't answer. I know. We could have worked this out." "No," I said. "You wanted to work around it. Not with me. Around me. There's a difference." And she broke. I could see it. Her shoulders sank. Her face fell. She knew it was over. She started crying. Rob grabbed her arm like I was threatening her or something. "I'm not the enemy," I said. "But I'm also not your doormat. You've got 45 days. After that, I'm renovating." I turned and walked away. No door slam, no scream, just silence. And man, that silence, it was loud as hell. The day after the lock change, I braced myself for backlash, and I got it. My phone didn't stop buzzing for hours. Missed calls, voicemails, texts from people I hadn't heard from in years. A cousin in Oregon suddenly remembered I existed just to say, "Hey, your mom said you threw her out. What's going on?" What's going on? What's going on is she threw me out first. But I guess that part didn't make the group chat. I ignored them all. I didn't owe anyone an explanation. I wasn't being petty. I wasn't being vindictive. I was just done. Then came the guilt parade. Rob's daughter Lexi messaged me on Instagram. "Can we please talk? This is tearing Mom apart. She's not sleeping." Not my mom, but whatever. "I'm pregnant and I don't know where we're gonna go. This is just a lot." I read the message like 5 times because part of me felt bad genuinely. She was just a scared teenager caught in the middle. But another part of me, that part remembered the way she used to side-eye me at dinner like I was the help, like I was some awkward leftover from my mom's past life. Still, I didn't reply. I wasn't gonna play the villain in their pity play. That night, I stayed up going over renovation plans. My contractor, buddy Matt, sent me sketches, budget estimates, and timeline drafts. I had choices to make new floors or refinish the old ones, open up the kitchen, or keep the original layout. But all I could focus on was the noise. Not literal noise, but the kind that lives in your head. The kind that says, maybe you are being harsh. Maybe you should just give them more time. Maybe you're turning into everything you hated. Grandma noticed I was off. She handed me tea and said, "You're not the bad guy, Eli. You're just not pretending anymore." That hit me harder than anything else that week. Because, yeah, I was done pretending. The pretending started when Dad died. I pretended I was fine. Pretended I didn't mind Rob moving in. Pretended I didn't notice my stuff disappearing or my space shrinking or my voice getting quieter and quieter until I barely recognized it. Screw that. I wasn't quiet anymore. 2 days later, Mom showed up at my grandparents' house. Didn't call, didn't text. Just knocked on the door like she was delivering a casserole. Grandpa opened it. He didn't even ask what she wanted. Just looked over his shoulder and said, "It's your mother." I stepped outside. She stood there in full sad mom mode, puffy eyes, oversized sweater, holding a box of my old stuff like it was a peace offering. "Hey," she said softly. I didn't say anything. "I thought you might want these." She continued, holding out the box. "Your comic books, some photos, your varsity hoodie." I looked at the box, then looked back at her. You came all the way over here to bring me things you boxed up when you kicked me out. She flinched. That's not what happened. That's exactly what happened, I said. You told me to leave. For Rob, for them. She stepped forward. Eli, I was overwhelmed. You were being difficult, and Rob is a stranger you married for stability. I get it. Fine. But he's not my dad. He never was. And you made me feel like I didn't belong in my own damn house. She blinked hard, trying not to cry. I was trying to keep the peace. By pushing me out of it, she didn't answer. I took the box not because I wanted the stuff, but because I wanted to end the moment. She reached out to touch my arm, and I stepped back. I'm not doing this, I said. I already said everything I needed to. She nodded, lips trembling. Just don't make us homeless, okay? I almost laughed. You've had years to prepare. I had minutes when you kicked me out. Then I turned and went inside. That night, I didn't sleep much. Anger's a weird drug. It burns hot but leaves you feeling empty after the high wears off. I kept replaying that conversation. Her face, her tears. The way she said us like it still included me. It didn't. I wasn't part of that unit. I was the collateral damage they conveniently boxed up. The next morning, I got a call from Matt. The city permits came through. We were cleared to start demo in 3 weeks. That gave them exactly 21 days to move. I sent the final notice, certified mail this time, legal timestamp and all. I wasn't playing around. 10 days before the deadline, Mom called again. This time I picked up. She sounded tired. Not fake tired, not manipulative, just defeated. Eli, she said, we found a place. Okay. It's small, but it'll work. Glad to hear it. Pause. We'll be out by the 1st. Good. Long silence. Then, do you hate me? God, that one hurt. No, I said honestly. I don't hate you. I just don't trust you. And I can't keep setting myself on fire to keep everyone else warm. She didn't say anything after that, just hung up. And that was probably the closest we've come to a real conversation in years. A week later, I showed up to the house. They were gone. No note, no dramatic final scene, just an empty living room and that smell of dust and old memories. The recliner was still there, my dad's chair. I walked over, sat down, and for the first time in years, it felt like home again. The silence wasn't awkward anymore. It was peaceful. And me. I wasn't the broken kid they left behind. I was the one who came back. 3 days after they moved out, I walked through the house again. Alone this time. No one breathing down my neck. No passive-aggressive sighs from Rob. No, this is our home now, speeches from Mom. Just me. Bare walls, empty rooms, echoes of shit that used to hurt. I stood in what used to be my bedroom and laughed. Not because anything was funny, but because for the first time I could. That room used to feel like a prison. Like I was always one slammed door away from another guilt trip. Now it was just drywall and carpet and potential. I opened every closet, every cabinet. I even climbed into the attic just to be sure there wasn't some surprise waiting up there. There wasn't, but I did find an old box of my dad's vinyls, so yeah, score. By the end of the walkthrough, I had a game plan. Renovations were starting in 4 days. Matt had his crew lined up. Demo would take a week, then we'd move fast, new floors, open kitchen, maybe even a patio. I wasn't just remodeling, I was reclaiming. That weekend, I crashed at the house overnight with just a mattress on the floor, a box of protein bars, and my laptop. I wanted to be there. I needed to be there. I watched old movies on my dad's projector. I sat in the recliner with a blanket. I even made a crappy grilled cheese in the half-functioning kitchen. It wasn't cozy, but it was mine. Then late that night, the doorbell rang. It was almost midnight. I froze. For a second, I thought maybe they'd come back. Some final guilt ambush. But when I checked the peephole, it was Lexi, standing there in a hoodie hair in a bun, arms wrapped around herself. I opened the door, confused as hell. What are you doing here? She looked down. I didn't know where else to go. I stepped outside, closed the door behind me. It's late, Lexi. You shouldn't be here. I know, she said quickly. I'm not trying to start anything. I wanted to say I'm sorry. That caught me off guard. For what I asked. For everything she said. For acting like I was better than you. For being a jerk. For not realizing what was really happening until it was too late. I didn't say anything. She rubbed her belly. She was definitely showing more now. probably 6 months in. She looked exhausted. Look, I know I'm not your sister. I never was. And I don't expect you to care about what I'm going through. But I wanted to say thank you for not throwing us out in the street. I leaned against the porch rail. You know, I wanted to write. She half smiled. Yeah, I could tell. We stood there in silence for a while. Then she said, Rob's pissed. He keeps saying you ruined everything. Tell Rob, I said, you're welcome. She laughed, like actually laughed. Then she nodded and turned to leave. Oh, she added, glancing back, Mom's not doing great, in case you care. I don't, I said. But the truth is, I did, just not enough to do anything about it. She disappeared into the night and I went back inside, locked the door, sat down in the recliner, and let myself feel everything. Anger, relief, sadness, regret, all tangled up in one weird heavy ball. I thought kicking them out would make me feel triumphant, like I won. But it wasn't that simple. There wasn't some movie moment of victory. No dramatic music or slow clap. Just space and silence and room to rebuild. Demo started Monday. Matt and his guys showed up at 8 a.m. sharp with sledgehammers, drills, and way too much coffee. I stayed on site every day, helped rip out old cabinets, tore down the half wall between the kitchen and living room, hauled drywall to the dumpster. My arms hurt like hell and I was always covered in dust, but I loved it. Because every swing of that hammer, that was me letting go of something. The door frame where Rob once blocked me from leaving gone. The pantry where Mom used to hide wine bottles and whisper about how stressed she was gone. The stupid decorative light fixture she made me install as a family project while Rob watched football shattered. Absolutely destroyed. And yeah, I might have hit it twice just to make sure. One night I came home with blisters and paint in my hair. Grandma had soup waiting, bless her. Grandpa handed me a beer and said, "You're doing good, kid." He'd be proud. That stopped me mid-sip. He, my dad. I didn't talk about him much, not even with them. But hearing Grandpa say that out loud, it hit me somewhere deep. I nodded, thanks. He clapped my shoulder. Didn't say anything else. Didn't have to. Over the next few weeks, the house started transforming. New floors went in. Walls got fresh paint. The bathroom finally got that remodel Mom always planned to do someday. I kept everything simple, clean lines, neutral tones, nothing flashy, just functional and strong, like Dad would have wanted. I even turned Rob's old man cave into a study, ripped out his mounted TV, and installed a desk, a reading lamp, and shelves for my books and Dad's old stuff. There's something healing about turning a place of ego into a space for growth. The kitchen, though, that became my favorite part. Because it's where so much of the pain lived. Where I used to sit alone picking at cold leftovers while Rob and Mom laughed in the next room. Where I learned to fake smiles. Where I learned to swallow my voice. So I made it bright, open, inviting. Not for them, for me. I started cooking again. Real meals. Spaghetti with garlic bread, chicken stir-fry, omelets that didn't suck. I even hosted a dinner for Matt and the crew when we finished the first phase. They called it Eli's comeback party. I laughed it off, but damn if it didn't feel like exactly that. After everyone left, I stood in the doorway with a beer in one hand and a sense of rightness in the other. Like, yeah, this wasn't just a renovation. It was a resurrection. I thought the revenge would be the locks, the eviction, the legal notices. But nah, the real revenge. It was becoming someone they couldn't mess with anymore. It was about a month after the comeback party when the next wave of drama hit. Things had been calm. The house was almost finished. I'd moved back in officially, had my own keys, my name on every bill, and that priceless feeling of shutting the door behind me and knowing no one could just walk in and start dictating how things went. I was finally breathing again. So naturally, that's when my extended family decided to wake up. It started with Aunt Denise. Haven't talked to her in maybe 5 years. She sends me this long-ass Facebook message out of nowhere. Hey, honey, just checking in. I heard there's been a bit of tension with your mom. I'm sure it's all just a misunderstanding. She really loves you, you know. Uh-huh. Right. Real loving of her to throw me out at 17 and replace me with a man-child and his 2 freeloading kids. I didn't reply. Then Uncle Rick texted me twice asking if we could grab coffee sometime soon. Apparently, my mom was struggling emotionally and just needed a little compassion from her son. At that point, I wanted to throw my phone into the nearest lake. It was amazing, really. None of these people called when I was sleeping on a lumpy couch at my grandparents' house, trying to figure out how to exist. But now that Mom was finally facing consequences, suddenly I was the bad guy. Even worse, they started showing up. I came home one afternoon to find Denise on my porch. She brought banana bread. Like that was gonna undo everything. "Sweetheart," she said the second I opened the door, "you look so grown up. I just want to talk." I stepped out and closed the door behind me. "Make it quick." She sighed like I'd already disappointed her. "I know you're upset with your mom, but—" "Stop," I said. "Don't I know you're upset me." She kicked me out of my own house. She let Rob treat me like garbage. And now that I have boundaries, I'm the problem. Denise blinked, caught off guard. "No one's saying that. Everyone's saying that. You just showed up with banana bread hoping I'd magically forgive her because she cried on your shoulder." She opened her mouth, closed it again. "I'm not asking for support," I said, "but I'm sure as hell not going to let anyone guilt me into feeling bad for protecting myself." She nodded slowly. "Okay, you're right." I raised an eyebrow. "That was too easy. I just wanted to hear your side. I didn't know it was that bad. Now you do." She left the bread on the porch and walked off. I tossed it in the trash. I wasn't trying to be cruel. I was just done pretending that my survival made me mean. The next week, I met with a realtor to talk about the future of the house. Renting it out, selling, living in it long term. He did a walkthrough, took notes, then said, "This place has good bones. You've done a hell of a job. You sure you want to rent it? Feels like you finally made it yours." And that's when I realized I wasn't ready to let it go, not yet. This house had been a battlefield, then a graveyard. Now it was my home again, a symbol of everything I'd rebuilt from scratch. So yeah, I told him I'd hold off on renting. For now, I'd stay. I started bringing life back into it. Got some plants, bought a decent couch, installed shelves for my books, my dad's camera, some framed prints I'd been saving. The place felt like mine in ways it never had before. And then the letter came. Typed, formal, no return address, but I knew the handwriting and the signature. Mom. It was 1 page long. "Eli, I know you don't want to talk, but I'm trying anyway. I messed up. I let things get out of control. I let someone else's needs come before yours, and I'll regret that forever. I don't expect forgiveness. I just want to talk. Maybe coffee. Just the two of us. Please. Love, Mom." It hit me harder than I expected. I sat on the couch staring at it like it might explode. There was a part of me that wanted to rip it up. Another part that wanted to text her too late. But a tiny quieter part, some piece of the kid I used to be, just whispered, "What if she means it this time?" Against my better judgment, I texted her 1 hour, "At Molly's Cafe, public place, don't bring Rob." She replied almost instantly, "Thank you. Big mistake." She showed up early, sat at the corner booth like we were old friends catching up. When I walked in, she stood up fast, arms out like she wanted to hug me. I stopped her with a look. We sat. Awkward silence. Then she started talking. About Rob. About how things got messy. How he wasn't handling stress well. How Lexi's pregnancy had been hard on them all. "I made some bad choices," she admitted. "You made them," I corrected. "You didn't trip into them." She flinched. "I deserve that." I stayed quiet. Then she pulled out an envelope. Red flag. "I didn't want to bring this, but—" "Then don't," I said. "Eli, just listen, please." She slid it across the table. It was an offer. Handwritten. She wanted to buy the house, said she had help from a friend, said they could move back in, start fresh. I stared at her. "You think I want to undo everything I've done?" "No, I thought maybe if we owned it together." "Stop. Eli, you don't get to rebuild your life on the ashes of mine," I snapped. She went pale. The whole cafe went quiet. "I'm not selling. I'm not co-owning. I'm not giving you another inch." Her eyes welled up. I was trying. "No," I said. "You were trying to control it again." I stood up, dropped enough cash on the table to cover both our drinks. Looked her in the eyes. "This house, it's not a second chance for you. It's my piece. And you're not welcome in it." And I left. Didn't look back. Outside, I sat in my car gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles went white. Because, yeah, it hurt. Even after everything, it still hurt to say no. But that's the thing about boundaries. They suck to enforce, but they're the only thing that keeps you whole. Back home, I tossed her envelope in the shredder. Then I opened the windows, turned on music, poured a drink. And for the first time since Dad died, I felt like maybe, just maybe, I wasn't living in his shadow anymore. I was stepping into my own.